The concept of open spaces makes us understand that for every single person who strongly understands what it means to walk in purpose, there is a space for you to thrive.
So Isaac named it Rehoboth, which means open spaces. At last, the Lord has created enough space for us to prosper in this land.
Hello, my name is Kachi Offiah, and I'm the creative director for Kavita, and I'm a journalist. Welcome to Open Spaces. Now, for the last 15 years, right, I've dedicated my time to telling stories, meaningful, powerful stories that reflect the people who influence these societies and cultures. And in my experience doing that, I've gained so much insight. I've learned so much from you, and I'm still learning even more, which is why on Open Spaces, I will be telling you stories, not just about myself, but stories about people who are equally in their birthing season. That's the best way to describe it. The concept of open spaces talks about the fact that there is room to survive. There is room to thrive. The fact that God has made space for us in our little circle, whatever our niche is, God has made space for us right there to thrive. One of the most popular things you hear as a creative, and in my case as a journalist, is what's extraordinary about you? You get that question all the time. What makes you different from everybody else? And that question can do one of two things. It can either inspire you to push and to thrive and to go harder, or it could just completely zero you into a shell where you're literally stuck in this imposter syndrome of, what am I doing here? However, the concept of open spaces makes us understand that for every single person who is a believer, for every single person who strongly understands what it means to walk in purpose, there is a space for you to thrive. It doesn't matter if everyone's doing the same thing. Hello, everyone has a podcast. There is a space for every single person to thrive. And to prove this to you, that is why we have this podcast. This podcast is going to spotlight different people, to be honest, doing the exact same thing, but doing it in their own way, telling their stories in their own voice, thriving in their own space, because in open spaces, there is room for everyone to thrive. Well, I'm so happy to be doing this, and I'm so glad to have you join me as we navigate open spaces together. This is not my first episode, but I will be talking about something that really has really stood out to me for the year 2025. And that is the story of how gratitude almost took my life. You hear it all the time. Stay grateful, be grateful, right? Humility, be humble. It's even in the Bible. Jesus even being, you know what? I'm just going to read exactly what it says in Philippians. Hold on. And consider the example that Jesus, the Anointed One, has set before us. Let his mindset become your motivation. He existed in the form of God, yet he gave no thought to seizing equality with God as his supreme prize. Instead, he emptied himself of his outward glory by reducing himself to the form of a lowly servant. He became human. He humbled himself and became vulnerable, choosing to be revealed as a man, and was obedient. He was the perfect example even in his death. And because of that obedience, pay attention, God exalted him and multiplied his greatness. He has now been given the greatest of all names. And the authority of that name causes every knee to bow in reverence. Everything and anyone will one day submit to his name in the heavenly realm, in the earthly realm, and in the demonic realm. And every tongue will proclaim in every language that Jesus is Lord, Yahweh. Bring glory and honor to Jesus, to God, his Father. Humility, it's so important. I've heard this word used across different platforms, different environments. I grew up in the church. I used to go to church every Sunday growing up. So would always hear the importance of humility, how sometimes you need to just stoop and bend down and learn from people and be grateful when people, especially in the media space, when people give you a come up, be grateful for that. We can talk about this another day. This is a whole other sermon because if you're like me and you are grateful, let me tell you how gratitude almost took my life. Oh my God. So, over the last couple of years, I've always practiced gratitude without boundaries. Yes, we learn a lot about gratitude, but that's what happens when you don't read enough of the Bible. Yep, I definitely had to learn that the hard way. We practice gratitude without boundaries. The reason I'm making this video is for some of us. And let me talk about my own personal story. I started out on radio. I got to come up, you reach out to someone, they help you. They put you through the lines and you make your way up. Now, the tricky part became when I was getting ready to transition from radio to television, I felt the impact of gratitude. Because let me tell you something about loyalty. When you're grateful to a person for something, sometimes the moving on from that person can seem as though you were disloyal or you were ungrateful. And I lived in that chokehold for such a long time. I felt the impact of moving on from a space that I was so grateful to be in. I felt that. I mean, not just mentally, physically. I felt the hostility. I felt the defiance. I felt the angst towards the fact that I just wanted to move on. And that did something to me. It made me feel like, okay, when someone does something for me, I need to be grateful. And sometimes gratitude means staying put. It means working when it's difficult. Sometimes we mix our gratitude with toxic behaviors. And guess what? We justify it. We make excuses for it. So I left that space and I transitioned into another space. And again, this isn't everyone's story, right? When you're coming from a place where I'm going from here to here, and you're made to believe that this is not ordinary. This cannot, first of all, that's the problem. You're made to believe that this is not ordinary, that this doesn't happen to people. You're made to believe that this is an extraordinary situation. You're special, but there's nothing special about you. The circumstance, however, is special. The only thing you can do to give back is be grateful. That is the lie that is going to keep you in a chokehold forever. Number one, you are special. Number two, you have been created for a purpose. And whatever is needed to help you walk in that purpose, you will find. Okay, let's just get rid of that thought. So I get into this new space and I'm grateful. I accept whatever's thrown at me. I worked my heart out. I did this to a point where I literally had no boundaries. I never said no. I never disagreed. I was okay with everything. I will smile and wave until the day I just didn't do that anymore. Again, PTSD from my first experience, I had that again. My defiance was met with hate. It was met with harassment. Oh my God, it was met with the most toxic experience I can ever imagine. But what do we do when we face these things? Sometimes we feel the need to run. Sometimes you want to just go back to being grateful because it's so much easier, right? It's so much easier to just say, I'm grateful. So I'm just going to go back to being grateful. But the thing is, God did not call you to be grateful. God called you to fulfill purpose. So my gratitude is my gratitude. And I will serve. It's just like the principle of apprenticeship. When you have your steward work under you for a period of time, the ideal thing to do is, you know what? You've worked so hard. Here is some money. Go and start your own thing. For some reason, we do not understand that principle. We expect the steward to stay a steward forever, but nobody is called to be a servant forever. No one is. You have a purpose. There's a reason God created you. And the longer you stay grateful and you are free to walk in purpose, and I don't want to go spiritual, but there are people, I promise you, there are actually people who will never fulfill purpose if you don't start, if you don't move, if you don't get up and start being so grateful. Okay. So I'm going to tell you 5 ways you can stay grateful without dying. Because, honey, I almost died, but I didn't. Number one, separate gratitude from obligation, right? Separate, I'm grateful from, um, you know, I have to do this because I'm grateful. That is a totally different thing entirely. You can be grateful, but you can't have boundaries. You can say, you know what, I'm so grateful for this, but this is a boundary that, God, I wish someone had told me this. I'm so grateful for this, but this is a boundary that I'm not willing to cross. Because listen, any boundary that you allow get crossed, trust me, it's going to be crossed over and over and over again. And the more you allow people cross your boundaries, the more you lose you lose yourself. You lose the core of who you are. What is a person without personality? Imagine putting a person without personality in an open space. They will disappear into the space because you do not have the carriage and the sense of your person to even create anything there. So separate gratitude from obligation. It's okay to be grateful for, if I help someone, it's okay to be grateful, but know when your gratitude is now being abused. Know when you are being abused. I will never, and at some point in my life, I used to, and I have to apologize. I have a few people in the course of my journey that they were being abused without an iota of doubt. You were abused. The things that happened to them were just pure abuse. Nothing else. It was just pure abuse. And you know what I told them? I'd say, what's the big deal? Just manage. Just figure it out. Just manage. The goal. That's what I used to always say. The goal. We have a goal. We have a goal. We have a goal. And now I see the damage that did to my heart. I see the damage and how broken I was. I was this perfect TV girl, but deep down I was so broken because my boundaries had been abused over and over and over and over again. And I had nothing I was holding on to. So I was always scared. I was always scared about who the next person to abuse my boundaries would be. So I apologize for even giving you that advice. When you know you are being abused, you don't need to stay there because God will make a way. And let me tell you something. That is a hard thing to say, especially when it's not looking like a way is coming. Like, where is the way? But trust me, God will make a way. I will never support abuse. Know how to separate your gratitude from your boundaries. Know how to say, I appreciate everything you're doing for me, but please, this is a boundary I'm not willing to cross. It'll save your life. It will save you time. You will spend less amount of time healing because the thing is, if you're broken, you cannot fulfill purpose. So as opposed to spending the rest of your life healing because you were in such a hurry to succeed, just set your boundaries. That's it. Set your boundaries. Practice gratitude with boundaries. I think I just explained that, understand. And for me, practicing gratitude with boundaries is not being rude. Sometimes I think definitely you're going to have to just some people will insult you. And let's understand this. This has nothing to do with self. This has nothing to do with, the way she spoke to me is rude and I don't like being spoken to this way. Nobody, again, guys, see, this open spaces, a lot of what you would get is personal experience. I used to say, there's no way you're going to talk to me like that. You can't. I just said to myself, and you know why? I was speaking from a point of trauma. I'd been in spaces where they used to talk to me anyhow. So I'm just like, see, may nobody talk to me anyhow because I go give you back. Period. I will give you 10. If you give me 1, I will give you 10. My thing was no one could. And again, I went through a period of time where the Holy Spirit kept asking me, who are you? If Jesus could forsake his crown, sorry, for the cross, he could leave who he was and come and be with us mere mortals. Who are you that he cannot insult you? Who was I that they couldn't insult me? I went through, guys, I went through such a humbling phase in my life. I was so humbled. Jesus, I don't even want to cry because I was humbled. And I wasn't humbled because of people. I was humbled by God. See, it's one thing for people to humble you. It's one thing for people to do something to you that, you say, this one you humbled me. But when God humbles you, there was a day I came back. I went out for, something, and I came back and I had just had a terrible experience. Again, it was just a toxic situation that I had just had to endure. And I just said to myself, you know what? I'm never going back there. I will never put myself in this position again. And I was just angry. I was yelling in my living room. I'm like, man, if it's before, I would have. And the Holy Spirit is just like, nope, you're not going to do that. Nope, you're not going to yell. You're not going to fight back. You're not going to do this. You're not. I was crying. I was crying. I was like, I felt so down. I felt so low because I'm an Igbo girl. The Igbo girl wanted to fight back. But listen, humility is not stupidity. Humility is understanding that there's nothing, you have such belief in yourself, in your worth, in your value, that there's nothing you can say to me that can affect who I am, what I'm doing. You see that thing I said about gratitude with boundaries? When you let people abuse your boundaries, you are not sure of who you are again. So when small things show up, you just start, hey, you become confused. Guys, I'm sorry I'm being so animated, but this is personal. So yeah, you can be humble. When they yell at you, collect it. There's nothing wrong with that. They can yell at you. They can try you. They try Jesus, not me. But nope, they can try you. It's okay for them to try. Let them try you. Let them send you on the errands. It's okay for them to do that. It's okay for them to not be nice to you. That's not the point, because your joy is not coming from those people. For the longest time, my joy came from people. My joy came from things. My sustenance, my reason for existing came from things. And I say this because I was going to church. I was praying. I was spiritual. I pray in the spirit. And irrespective of the fact that I had a relationship with God, my sustenance was on something. You might think that, my sustenance is not coming from anything that I have. I need you to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay, number 3, celebrate growth without guilt. I'm in my 20s, right? And I started working, let me just say, give or take, in my late teens, right? In my late teens, I started working. And when I talk about this, I just want to hug that teenage girl, because I hurt her a lot. I hurt her feelings. Jeez, I hurt her. I used to be so guilty at the fact that I was good at what I did. I would want, if I can bend and bend and bend and bend and bend, just so you can see that I am lower than you. Even when my voice was loud, even when my charisma was speaking, I didn't need to talk. I didn't need to do too much. It was just there. But no, I would now feel bad. Why am I so good? When I win, I don't even accredit the win. I don't even acknowledge. It's one thing to not even acknowledge the win. I can decide to keep quiet and just know within my heart that this is a win for me. But no, I will give it out like it's not me. I used to feel so guilty because I felt like I didn't belong there. I felt like I just didn't belong there. So you need to learn to celebrate your wins without feeling guilty. There's spaces that we will get to, and that is the whole concept of open spaces. The creative industry is going through a very beautiful resurgence. There are confident women that are rising. There are men that are able to look at you and see you for the growth and the purpose that God has embedded in you, not for the length of your skirt. There are people that will speak life into your work. That is where we are going. There was there was a challenge that Nas Boy did, and there's something I said in that single. We are the ones who will change this industry, right? It's not like in the future. It's happening now. So it's okay to celebrate your wins without feeling guilty. It's very important to understand that the other end of everything I'm saying is pride. It's so it's so easy to slip into pride in this kind of situation. It's so easy to be confused by how good you are and actually become proud. And you have to try your best not to. Do not become proud because that will destroy you. Let me just say that. Because when you are proud, everything I'm saying here, throw it out of the window. You are finished. Okay? And the fourth thing is honor your needs first. Yeah. If you're emotionally depleted all the time, you actually cannot be grateful. If you're exhausted all the time. And again, don't be lazy. Oh. Me, I'm a hard worker. You don't want to know what time I'm recording this video. You don't want to know what time it is. I'm doing it. I work very hard. But know when you need to take care of your needs. What are your needs? Sometimes you need to take some time off. Sometimes you need to just step away. Sometimes you need to remember why you started. Sometimes you need to say, I can't do this, or I can't do this. Sometimes you need to step away from people, environments, people that make the job hard. You need to just walk away from that. You don't always need to fight. I fought so much through the years. Oh my God. I mean, I'm happy to open up that book of worms, but maybe not. But I fought so much and I didn't need to. It wasn't my job to be fighting, but I didn't know I was fighting a completely different battle. But the point is, know your emotional needs and know when to tend to them. Don't ignore them. Don't ignore the signs. Okay? Like I said, walking in purpose will happen much easier, faster, better if you are not broken. A broken person only raises more broken people. Okay? A broken person is hard to teach. And in the line, in this open space that we are all in right now, there's so much learning that we need to do. And finally, just honest gratitude, not forced gratitude. I am grateful for a lot of things, but a lot of times that gratitude was forced out of me. I didn't really have a choice. I had to be grateful. Because if I wasn't grateful, then I would be kicked out. Pretty much. And that's not to say that even when I wasn't showing gratitude, I wasn't grateful. I was, but my way of showing gratitude sometimes was not enough. And people would want to tell you how to be grateful. And you need to know when to say, no, I'm grateful, but no. So you really know what you're doing and where you are. Listen, gratitude is such a beautiful thing. And I had to learn all of these things to save my life. So when you see me in 2025, just know that gratitude almost choked the hell out of me. But I'm here. I didn't die. And I am so grateful. Listen, I am a walking gratitude. I am I am the epitome of what it means to be grateful because, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. When you put so much trust in man, God would sometimes show you why he is God. And then you will say to yourself, it could have only been God. Because when you think about what could have been, you're like, yeah, it could have only been God and it's always been God. Guys, open spaces, I promise you, there's so much to unpack, but I'll be dropping as many episodes as possible. And I want to just say thank you for watching. Follow my podcast by following me on Instagram. Yes, because that's where we're based, on my Instagram profile. Please subscribe to my YouTube page as well. And I'm so happy to say that this particular episode was proudly supported by Act One. Yes, Act One is a digital content and culture network, and they basically profile beautiful stories across the creative industry globally. So do follow Act One, and thank you so much for supporting this episode. I look forward to bringing you my next episode. Bye-bye.